Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the lessons this year, and I'm asking Jesus to clarify for me. And from that clarity, I'm writing whatever comes into my mind, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're looking at lesson 157. Into his presence would I enter now. Paragraph 1. This is a day of silence and of trust. It is a special time of promise in your calendar of days. It is a time heaven has set apart to shine upon and cast a timeless light upon this day when echoes of eternity are heard. This day is holy, for it ushers in a new experience, a different kind of feeling and awareness. You have spent days and nights in celebrating death. Today, you learn to feel the joy of life. For most of the lessons, Jesus has talked about forgiveness in one form or another. He wants us to learn to recognize the ego thoughts in our mind. It is their effects that he wants us to see, and he wants us to realize we don't want those effects. Jesus is teaching us that we can choose to bring those unwanted thoughts to the Holy Spirit. There they can be undone for us. But he also wants us to know that this is not the end goal. We will spend our year learning and practicing, and this will bring us to an experience. And though he cannot convey the experience in words, he wants us to know a little about what to expect. He's telling us the light at the end of the tunnel is worth pursuing. It has been interesting to watch my reaction to this paragraph over the years. In various stages, I have gone from no understanding at all to learning, to longing for it, and then to expectation. Paragraph 2. This is another crucial turning point in the curriculum. We add a new dimension now, a fresh experience that sheds a light on all that we have learned already and prepares us for what we have yet to learn. It brings us to the door where learning ceases, and we catch a glimpse of what lies past the highest reaches it can possibly attain. It leaves us here an instant, and we go beyond it, sure of our direction and our only goal. Whether this is the first time to practice the lessons, or if, like me, you have studied them for years, it's exciting to realize that we are at a crucial turning point. We have learned much, and there is more to learn. However, having come this far, we're ready for something more. Perhaps a glimpse behind the veil of illusions. Perhaps a heightened experience of the effects of our mind healing. And then we return to our practice with this experience, providing greater motivation than we had before. This reminds me of something I heard Regina Donacre share. She described her practice of the Course as hills and valleys. She said that in the learning phase, she began in the valley and climbed the mountain. It was sometimes steep and hard, but she would inevitably reach the peak, and she would pause and enjoy the sight. Then she would be pulled down into the valley to learn something new. Eventually, she began to choose to return to the valley because that is where she would learn the next important lesson. Today, we're invited to stand at the top and celebrate the view. 3. Today, it will be given you to feel a touch of heaven, though you will return to paths of learning. Yet you have come far enough along the way to alter time sufficiently to rise above its laws and walk into eternity for a while. This you will learn to do increasingly as every lesson, faithfully rehearsed, brings you more swiftly to this holy place and leaves you for a moment to yourself. Each person's experience with this lesson will vary. When I read it now, I let my mind rest on the words and become quiet, at least for a few minutes. I've had some remarkable experiences touching heaven. I have been to the top of the mountain and the view is spectacular. I have then returned to the valley to see what else I can undo in the mind. However, this was not my first experience. In those early years of studying the course, my mind was only clear enough to show me a tiny glimpse of what was to come. And most of that was just hope of something I couldn't yet fully imagine. But it made me happy to trust that the experience would become stronger as time went on. And daily, my experience with the truth increased as I continued to bring my thoughts to the Holy Spirit. I didn't have to be at this lesson to be in this holy place. I was getting a little taste of it every day as I forgave more frequently. I had moments of anger and frustration that simply vanished when I called for healing. When this kind of thing first began to happen, I would think that I would never fall for ego thinking again, but then I would. But the more often I looked at those situations with the Holy Spirit, instead of staying with the ego interpretation, the easier it became to do this. It often just felt like hard work, but then sometimes the healing was so dramatic that it was stunning. And eventually I was able to look back and realize that this work had given me a different experience of life. Life had become more joyful and certainly more peaceful. 4, he will direct your practicing today, for what you ask for now is what he wills. And having joined your will with his this day, what you are asking must be given you. Nothing is needed but today's idea to light your mind and let it rest in still anticipation and in quiet joy, wherein you quickly leave the world behind. I can trust this promise. Most days, this is my experience. And on those days when I feel like I'm struggling, I know that this too shall pass. It's just a lesson, a classroom where I can practice a lesson of the day. My upset, whatever it is that day, is just thoughts in my mind, and I know what to do with unwanted thoughts. I give them to the Holy Spirit, and in my choice to forgive, I am healed. Today, I rest in that trust. I disregard the ego trying to pull me into another story. I give the day to joyful anticipation as I wait to see where I am to be directed. 5, from this day forth, your ministry takes on a genuine devotion and a glow that travels from your fingertips to those you touch and blesses those you look upon. A vision reaches everyone you meet and everyone you think of or who thinks of you. For your experience today will so transform your mind that it becomes a touchstone for the holy thoughts of God. I remind myself that these holy thoughts of God are us. They are his creations. The devotion I feel toward my ministry has only deepened over the years. It brings me joy as nothing else in the world ever has. I don't know how it affects others, and that's okay. That is not for me to direct. I just do what I'm guided to do, and that's enough. Today, I rededicate myself to my purpose, and I do so in complete joy. Can you imagine what it must mean that as you do the same, your mind becomes a touchstone for others? Each of us, as we practice this lesson, will touch many others, and they will do the same. And together, we awaken each other to our one self. 6, your body will be sanctified today. Its only purpose being now to bring the vision of what you experience this day to light the world. We cannot give experience like this directly, yet it leaves a vision in our eyes, which we can offer everyone, that he may come the sooner to the same experience in which the world is quietly forgot and heaven is remembered for a while. Another word for sanctified is to dedicate to God. When we use the body to forgive and to communicate only love, it is sanctified to that purpose. It is dedicated to God. Let us notice that Jesus says this happens when this is its only purpose. Also, in this paragraph, Jesus tells us that the experience cannot be given to others. What we can do is point the way to it through the way we live our life from this higher perspective. When we forgive and when we choose to see the innocence in others rather than guilt, we point the way. When we live a peaceful, happy life through accepting the atonement, we point the way. 7, as this experience increases and all goals but this become of little worth, the world to which you will return becomes a little closer to the end of time, a little more like heaven in its ways, a little nearer its deliverance. And you who bring it light will come to see the light more sure, the vision more distinct. The time will come when you will not return in the same form in which you now appear, for you will have no need of it. Yet now it has a purpose and will serve it well. Jesus is acknowledging that this is a process. It is unlikely that at the end of this day, we will have reached heaven permanently, though I don't discount the possibility. For most of us, we will touch on heaven over and over until we awaken completely. My experience of it has been that the valleys become shallower and the peaks closer together. The climb becomes gentler. I have come to love my purpose and have little interest in anything else. I can't imagine what else could bring me so much joy. 8, today we will embark upon a course you have not dreamed of, but the Holy One, the giver of the happy dreams of life, translator of perception into truth, the holy guide to heaven given you, has dreamed for you this journey, which you make and start today, with the experience this day holds out to you to be your own. We have forgotten our reality and forgotten our plan to return to it. We are so immersed in our dreams that we get further and further from the truth. But we are given the guide who does know our path, and he will take us every step. He will take every step with us. He has dreamed it for us. We're safe in his care as today we dream it with him. Into Christ's presence will we enter now, serenely unaware of everything except his shining face and perfect love. The vision of his face will stay with you, but there will be but an instant which transcends all vision, even this, the holiest. This you will never teach, for you attained it not through learning, yet the vision speaks of your remembrance of what you knew that instant and will surely know again. Our foolish and painful illusions cover the memory of the journey's end, but it is there in our mind. As we clear our mind, we will gain vision and see as Christ sees and go even further. I can't imagine this from where I am, but I can attain it. Thank you so much for sharing this lesson with me. And if you found it helpful, then please like. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.